Hello and welcome to Shaking and Sipping. This is the show where we shake up or stir a cocktail or other mixed drink, have a sip, talk a bit about its history and some variants, that sort of thing. You know, this La Croix is pretty good, but what I really want right now is a ginger ale. No, not really. It's fine. It's ginger ale. That's a beverage. You know what would really make this better? A lot of lemon. Tastes a little bit lemony, I guess. You know what that bit of peel sticking out of the top of the drink makes me think of? A horse's neck. Am I right? So, back to our normal introduction. We're continuing our quest to work through the IBA's official list of cocktails to see how those stack up. We're in the second section. These are the contemporary classics, and this week's contemporary classic is the horse's neck. I did that little intro there because I got nothing on this drink. I love giving y'all the history and trying to figure it out. We've had a couple decent ones in the last few weeks where some of the commonly held history was wrong, or we discovered something interesting in a write-up or something. There is nothing to say about this drink. So it is originally a non-alcoholic drink. It's ginger ale with a strip of lemon in it. And that's it. It goes back to the 1890s. There are write-ups at least as early as 1895 of it. No indication of where it came from. It was somewhat popular sometime in the early 20th century, and teens, somewhere in that area. Some people would sometimes order a strong horse's neck or a stiff horse's neck or something to that effect, which would be a horse's neck with a shot of liquor in it, which we'll discuss in a little bit. That was somewhat popular. It was apparently FDR's favorite drink. There's my most interesting tidbit about this one, I think. Over the course of the 20th century, the non-alcoholic version almost entirely fell out of favor, though it certainly is still in some books and write-ups in the 19-teens and the 1920s, and supposedly it persisted as a somewhat popular drink in very specific regions, non-alcoholically, into the 40s and 50s. That might be true. It's fine. It tastes of ginger ale. I have nothing against ginger ale, but it's ginger ale. And with the lemon twist, there's a little bit of lemon oil on top that I guess matters. I don't know. There's really nothing to say about this drink. We're going to go ahead and make sort of two different variants on it today. IBA's spec on this drink is pretty much identical to everyone else's spec on this drink. The drink is ginger ale, and it's either cognac or bourbon, optionally a couple dashes of Angostura Bitters, and then a lemon twist. And that's it. So let's make up those different variants and see how they are. Alright, before we mix the first one up, we should have a word about that garnish, because some people would add the garnish right now into the drink. As you know, I'm not a big garnish person if you've watched this channel before. There's two different schools of thought on it. One is sort of like what I did in that non-alcoholic one, where it's a sort of long strip that comes out, and that's it. Other school of thought is that it needs to be a really long spiral that can actually be like all around the glass, and that's fine too if you're doing it that way. A lot of times people will put that in first so that they can sort of get it set up and then fill with the thing. Whatever. Some people say to use a channel knife to get a really thin, pretty strip. We've never done a channel knife on this show before, so I thought I would grab mine and just show you what that does for us. That creates these little strips. If you've seen these in cocktails before, they're kind of pointed, they hold up well, and if you're good at it and go all the way around a few times, you can get this little pretty thing. I don't care. I'm just gonna build the drink, and then we'll just get off some strip of lemon. It's gonna be just fine. So, all right. We're going to start off with the Cognac version because that appears to be the earlier of the versions. Now this is meant to be a rather long drink, but it doesn't have a huge amount of alcohol in it. We're going to start off with 40 milliliters, that is 1 1/3 fluid ounces of our brandy, or in this case, Cognac. Oh my goodness, that is almost perfect to what I had left. All right. And then of ginger ale, we want about 120 milliliters, so that's going to be about 4 ounces. As with all carbonated highball sort of things, I don't love mixing that exactly. I'll try to get it right on this first one, and then when we make the next one, I'll just pour. I'm using Werner's here. I always liked Werner's as a child. I haven't bought a ginger ale in 20 plus years, but Werner's is good, right? I think it's from Michigan or something. I mean, it's made by Dr. Pepper Keurig now, but I think it's from Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. All right, I'm gonna just give that a brisk but short stir. It's a weird set of adjectives. And then again, 4-hour garnish. Traditionally, this is going to be lemon. You can do it however you like. Ideally, you want one really long piece to do the whole curly-Q thing, if you're into that, or to have really tall out of the side. Just get however much you get, and it's fine. Now, they don't even say anything about expressing it, so even though I did that originally, I'm not going to on this one. I will get a nice long strip, plenty long, and see how much that looks like a horse's neck. Alright, let's give that a try. The IBA spec horse's neck with Cognac. I'm not especially a fan of that. Ginger ale and Cognac really doesn't go terribly well. I'm trying to even... What does that taste of? It tastes of sort of darkness. Yeah, it's a weird flavor profile. So the Cognac somehow is totally eating any of the sweetness of the ginger ale. And Werner's isn't quite as sweet as some brands, but it's still a very clearly, sweetened soft drink soda. It's eating all of that. So it doesn't taste like aggressively dry or alcoholic, but it no longer tastes sweet. But then that somehow means that we're also not really getting the spice notes of the ginger ale either. So somehow the ginger ale's pretty much just gone. But it's eating part of the Cognac too, so all I've got is that sort of lingering dark note of Cognac that's sort of reminiscent of like, it's a hint of the original grapes, but it's like a really dark, low, earthy, old fruit. That's all I taste when I drink this. Yeah, if I try to sort of aspirate while I'm drinking it, I get a little bit of ginger on the sides of my cheeks, which also have sort of a little bit of the brighter fruity notes of Cognac in it, which are really enjoyable. But when I just sip it, it doesn't taste bad in any way. It just tastes like sort of diluted Cognac, and that's it. This is not a drink for me. All right, before we give that the heave-ho, let's go ahead and try the optional addition of Angostura Bitters. Angostura Bitters do make everything better, is my general rule in life. And let's do 2 nice dashes there. So I can smell some of the bitters right on the top, and I like the color change. The bitters taste of something, so that's fun. Yeah, that actually makes it a lot better because the bitters are bringing a lot of those allspice notes and kind of dark, almost sweet notes, sort of almost molassesy that you get out of them. That does help. It actually brings out some of the ginger again. It's still not amazing, but it's better. All right, for version number 2, we're going to use bourbon. I'm going for Old Grandad Bonded. Bourbon I really like quite a bit. We want that same 40 milliliter pour. Followed by an unmeasured quantity of ginger ale. More is needed. Alright, and this time just to mix it up, I'm going to go with orange, even though the garnish is the whole point of this drink. I think orange will be interesting. This orange is getting a little bit dried out, so I didn't get quite as much as I wanted, but oh well. And this is a mostly IBA spec, other than the garnish of the whiskey version of the Horse's Neck. So that's better. It's still doing the same thing that I don't like. They somehow work against each other. So I like it more because the Old Grandad just is a stronger product, and it's something I really like, right? It's got a decent amount of oak on it, it's got a decent amount of vanilla, which is tied to the oak, of course, but that sort of place, a little bit of inherent sweetness, but not too much. It's got all that going for it. But the ginger ale, for some reason, when it interacts with it, it does read less sweet than the sum of its parts. So it reads drier than the ginger ale and almost drier than the whiskey on its own. There's something weird about the interaction of like the flavorings. Is there something weird in this? No, natural and artificial flavors plus blah, 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 blah. Okay. I don't know what that is, but it somehow really sucks out a portion of the overall palate that sort of should be there. Yeah, it's okay. It's better than the previous one, but I think I'd prefer to have either the whiskey or the ginger ale on its own. And in with the bitters again. Much with the last one, it improves it. Improves it in kind of a weird way. It's actually covering up the whiskey. Yeah, I'm now reading a little bit of the ginger again, and the Ango, but the whiskey is sort of, it's there, there's something happening, but it's not really discernible as Old Grandad. It's fine. Well, this is a drink where there just is no interesting history, there are no interesting variants, and I don't particularly like it, so I'd like to apologize for probably our worst episode ever. But please check our previous episodes. We've done a lot of great drinks on the IBA's list, and at least some that are very interesting, or that have historical variants, or that I've created my own variants on. Lots of stuff more interesting than this one. If you're a fan of the Horse's Neck, though, please go ahead and have one. I'd love to hear about it in the comments if I'm just crazy about this. Maybe some other ginger ale, maybe everything works if you use Canada Dry. I don't know, but let me know. Do all the YouTube stuff, like, share, subscribe, etc. Visit the blog at shakingandsipping.com. We'll have a write-up on this, which will be short, and each other drink, as well as most weeks we'll have IBA in real life, where we go to a local Seattle cocktail bar and see how they make it, if they have variants, if it's popular, etc. Don't know yet if we'll do that this week, but the way you will know is if you visit on Twitter at shaking_sipping. Always announce whenever we're doing an IBA in real life. That's all I've got for this week. We'll be back next week with the next drink on the IBA's list, which will hopefully be more interesting. Until then, happy sipping. Cheers.